Meeting on the crossroads where the two forbidden subjects of religion and politics intersect. This is the Sophie Scholl Roundtable. And with me today, just found out a couple minutes ago, is Melissa Russell. She's a school teacher. And I thought, wow, this would be a very interesting conversation to talk about what it's like being a teacher,
right,
in the power structure that you're in, how much freedom you feel like you have, as well as all the other factors you're discovering in your teaching career that started like 20 years ago, right?
22 years.
Have you seen things change?
Yes. Students, family dynamics, and the employment. I guess the teaching profession in general, yes. I've seen all of it change in 22 years. And of course, technology.
Oh yes, technology.
Huge, yeah.
Does it make it easier to teach or harder?
I think both. In some aspects, it's easier, but when you rely so much on technology, it can really block you sometimes because technology falls through, and then what do you have? You forget, oh, I have to do this the old school way.
Okay.
But you know, I think in some ways it helps, but in some ways it's been a negative aspect too. A lot of issues with students and Chromebooks being able to appropriately use technology. I think that's hard for children.
Okay.
And they have to be taught that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm an outsider looking in, just wondering what the teaching profession is like. And I thought, wow, with this new technology, they'll all be engaged now to learn, or can it be distracting?
It can be distracting, definitely. Yeah.
And when you say...
the internet, I think, can be the devil at times.
Even in the school?
Oh, yeah. Yes. With the children. Because, again, they don't know appropriately all the time how to use the internet for learning. They get, like you said, distracted. They get distracted by everything else that's on the internet.
As an entertainment?
Going to inappropriate sites, some of the music that's out there, YouTube videos.
Okay.
And almost like an addiction to the Chromebooks.
So that can happen right at school, you mean?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Now, my sister-in-law is also a teacher out in Illinois. And she says there's this phenomenon called TikTok.
Yes, exactly.
So
I know what she's talking about.
And they can access it right there at school?
So, school districts have the ability to, within their like tech departments, they can block websites, but kids are so smart at finding their way around everything. And so, yes, you can say that particular sites are blocked, but somehow they can find their ways around that. And don't forget, too, like a lot of students have their own phones. So they can sneak their phones into classes and get on TikTok. And so this is kind of... we had some situations with TikTok. They had a TikTok monthly challenge going on in which they would challenge students to destroy things in the bathrooms, steal things in the bathrooms, swear at teachers. It was a challenge to do something against an employee of the school or against the building. And so, yeah, we at the beginning of the year had some issues with having to discipline because of that.
Now, was this just local, or was this something that was far beyond the local? I mean, was this
our situations were local,
okay,
but this was all over TikTok. So I think other school districts were encountering this too. And so the teachers would have to get onto TikTok and we would all try to watch out and what is the challenge of the month going to be? And we would, just try to pay attention to it, because we try to pay attention to the kids and what they're doing and try to encourage them to do the right things. We had to have a lot of talks, about TikTok and about these challenges and about what's not right, in destroying school property or anybody's property, or being disrespectful to people. It just all comes down to kind of basic values. Yeah. But kids are exposed to all kinds of things like that on the internet, and it falls over into the schools and into their classrooms. I would say a lot of the problems that we have nowadays spill over from Facebook, from Twitter, from TikTok. So yeah, negative. There's a lot of negativity, but then I look at the other aspect and I look at all the things that I can show them and teach them and how they can learn from.
For example?
So if we're studying, I actually teach science. If we're studying about earthquakes and we get on the internet, and of course I have control over what is seen on the smart board, and we look up major earthquakes and the devastation that it's caused. A lot of times I'll do earthquakes, volcanoes, that kind of thing, like in our weather unit.
Yeah.
So we can find lots of factual information and statistics and that kind of thing, I think is positive in learning. Yeah,
and I think
it makes it more real to them.
Yeah, and having so accessible in front of them like that, to me, again, it's just my perspective. They just all of a sudden become much more engaged.
Yeah.
Glued into.
Yes.
And attentive to what's going on.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I almost feel like, as you're describing just what we talked about, this guy, Dr. T. David Gordon from Grove City College, would say, it's not so much what media is doing for us, but also what it's doing to us.
Exactly.
And to me, you just described exactly what's going on. I mean, here it does so many wonderful things for you in the education process, but it also brings on a whole nother set of problems.
Right. You're right.
So,
and stress.
The stress?
Stress, yeah.
Is it?
So when I first started teaching, I didn't have a computer at my desk. And all my plans were handwritten with a pencil and written in a book. And of course now I have a laptop and I do everything electronically and digitally. But it's, again, I guess what you said, it's easier, but then the other side of it is that there's these negative impacts too, and stress and demand.
And stress and demand because of technology and other factors as well?
I would say technology, but other factors.
Yeah. Okay.
Just within the profession.
Yeah. So is the profession itself getting easier or harder?
Harder. So maybe technology is supposed to make it easier.
But if technology was taken out, what do you feel like it would be like?
I am so used to teaching with technology, I would have to totally revamp what I'm doing. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I depend on it so much that if our electricity goes down and our whole floor, we won't have, if we didn't have electricity, we'd all, what are we gonna do? What's our backup?
Wow, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
Do like the teacher group you might be involved with, or just your own local district, do you ever talk about pulling back at all from technology?
Yeah, actually we have. For example, some grade levels let Chromebooks go home with the kids every night.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question arises, well, is that really necessary that their technology go home with them every night? Because that's seems to be a lot of the issue, where you get the negative impacts, such as the Twitter and the TikTok, and that because they have more access, they can get on their Chromebooks at home and get on the internet, and parents aren't always watching. Parents don't always supervise, and they might not know what the kids are doing on their Chromebooks. Are you doing homework? Yeah. maybe not.
So it's like what we grew up with, textbooks. Now
textbooks are online.
Like in the Chromebook, right?
Chromebook, yeah. So they have a Chromebook where they can go onto the internet, and everything for most school districts are set up so that students can have access to their science textbook or their social studies textbook, and teachers post pages that they're supposed to read, and they can post their homework. Yeah, so it is very different. And a lot of it got accelerated when COVID hit. Because the school was shut down. And so since then, it's continued, I think, at a faster pace. That it's just been more digital, more electronic. Wow. It just didn't go back to paper and pencil.
Yeah. I mean, just as you were talking, I realized, wait a minute, school is different now.
It is.
Because, like my age, when we grew up in school, we would carry around textbooks from class to class. And I have a feeling that if people have been out of high school for years upon years, they would not see kids lugging around textbooks anymore.
Nope.
And the Chromebooks start as early as what grade?
My goodness. I think all the way down to kindergarten.
Wow.
I think. Down
wow.
to kindergarten. Because since COVID, they had to have a device to be able to meet with their teacher. And so some school districts are one-to-one with devices, meaning every student has their own device. I think most districts now are that way. It started out where we weren't. Sometimes they would have to share.
Okay.
But it's a pretty big thing now that students are one-to-one with their devices.
Wow. And as you talk about these devices, there becomes a dependent relationship on them, not just for them doing their study, but also with the contact with the teacher. Wow. I didn't realize how.
And if families don't have internet connection, districts can provide them with hotspots.
Yeah. See, it's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, I heard about how technology is changing the classroom.
Yeah.
And this whole COVID thing, I thought, well, they just go home at their own computer, and somehow their own computer is set up to the school. But no, that's not the way it is. They have their own. Yeah, and the school also provides the Chromebook.
Yeah.
So the kid can actually isolate themselves from the family computer, which means they could have extra access to things.
Yeah, they could. Like I said, Chromebooks are in most districts set up so that things get blocked from the students.
Yeah.
But it's just, you can't always rely on that.
Yeah.
Because they can get on different websites, so they, be on the internet at home. And yeah, they don't necessarily have to be on their home computer, although some students will still use it. But there's definitely, I would say, overall, internet has its positives, but its negative spins too. And I think school districts are just really trying to figure out how to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
We're learning.
Yeah. Do you know of any schools that are just disconnected completely from, like, the technological format you have?
I do not.
Okay. That would be an interesting study to see if there are any schools remaining that forego the aspect of technology in the classroom. That'd be an interesting study to do.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But this has been so interesting. We're going to do another show. I think it'd be great.
We're going to do another one?
Yeah, we're going to do it. So join us next time as we discuss matters of religion and politics, as well as education, on the Sophie Scholl Roundtable.